Yo, what's good? It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Today, I need to do part two of the Toronto Raptors rebuild. And I wanted to do this part two because in part one, what I discussed in terms of a reset, hitting the reset button, the trading of Pascal Siakam, the cornerstone of this new era and its potential title run. It didn't sit well. To be honest, it was a take that I thought was valid, worthy of discussion, especially on this channel and the Toronto Raptor fans that I have here. But at the same time, it didn't sit well because this roster is still in its prime. It's still about as deep as you could want to be. It has all the assets that you would hope to accumulate in a title run. It is essentially already at exactly where they would be hoping to get back to if they did trade Pascal Siakam and let go of Fred VanVleet and Jakob Poeltl. You see, the big question for me is if you double down on this roster, then Masai Ujiri has to get the coaching hire right. Because unfortunately, most of the playoff level coaches, the potential championship contention level coaches, all just got fired. Whether it's Doc Rivers, whether it's Mike Budenholzer, whether it's my brother from the Phoenix Suns, I forget his name, right? All these guys who have been to the mountaintop, whether they've won it or not. All the guys who know what it takes to get there, who understand the pressure and the situation that is the NBA Finals, all of those coaches are likely going to want to take at least a season off. And so who you bring in at this point is going to have to be somebody who has the skills, even if not the experience, of getting there. And I don't know if it's somebody like Nate McMillan. I don't know if it's potentially Silas from the Houston Rockets, right? I don't know if it's somebody like that. I don't know who exactly it would be. Because when I look at who the candidates have been, who they've been interviewing, none of them look like championship contention coaches. None of them look like they would come in having a system that is ready to be installed to maximize this roster. And that is essentially what this team would need if it retains its current structure. You see, when you have an all-NBA player in Pascal Siakam, when you have an all-star in Fred VanVleet, when you have an all-defensive level talent like OG Anunoby and an upcoming rising star in somebody like Scottie Barnes, you have to have somebody who can maximize that talent. Matter of fact, the reason why Nick Nurse was dismissed is because he was not able to maximize that talent. And as a result, you're in this situation. But the other part of this is that this is still one hell of a roster. I can't tell you how many teams would love to be in this position with an all-NBA defender, an all-star point guard, and an all-NBA forward, surrounded by quality veteran role players, such as Jakob Poeltl, such as Gary Trent Jr., a young rising star in Scottie Barnes, great bench players like Chris Boucher, right? Up-and-coming young bench players like Precious Achiuwa, right? Guys like Delano Banton and Malachi Flynn. And all you need to do is add maybe one or two pieces. This is the type of roster that teams like the Charlotte Hornets, Minnesota Timberwolves, teams even like the Sacramento Kings was working so hard to get to this place, right? So many of the teams that are hoping to be in their position would be looking forward to potentially bringing in this type of a roster going into a season. And so to give up on it feels a little blasphemous, especially when they're still in their prime. Especially when you look to last season as not being an issue with the roster, but an issue with the coach. And so the question becomes what to do next. Now, I know this might seem even more blasphemous, but I wouldn't mind bringing in somebody like a Mike D'Antoni. A Mike D'Antoni who could come in and revamp this offense around this level of talent, this level of defensive potential to where even if he struggles to coach on the defensive end, you already have great defensive personnel who already have a great defensive pedigree and blueprint, right? This team knows how to defend. What they don't know how to do is maximize its current offensive potential. And that might be the person that I think they need to bring in order to move them forward. And maybe he just gets a 3-year deal, right? Team option on the 3rd year. Give him 2 solid seasons and see what he can do with this team, because they can run. They can get up and down just like his old teams used to. They can shoot it. Well, they can't exactly shoot it, but they've got the personnel. Whether it's Pascal Siakam, who's improved his 3-point shooting vastly. Fred VanVleet, I think he's going to have a bounce-back shooting year. Gary Trent Jr. as well, especially in a more offensive, free-flowing system. I see all those guys having career years shooting under somebody like a Mike D'Antoni. And so as we look forward to this next season, I want to know what you all think. Do you think that Mike D'Antoni could potentially revamp this offense and put them back where they belong in the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference? Do you think that they need to go a different direction, maybe with a younger coach who might still have the pedigree and the offensive know-how and the scheming and the X's and O's to bring this veteran team where they deserve to be at the top of the Eastern Conference? Stephen Silas is out there, right? Nate McMillan. Could these guys be potential options? Let me know in the comment section. I'm going to get at y'all next time. I got one more video to do about these Toronto Raptors. Stay tuned next time. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm out.